4-H week is upon us. Fully autonomous by 2025 and Fat Bear Champion. You'll want to stick around for that one. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for Friday on the Fly. This is the 22nd edition. And this is a special edition because we're doing it on what day, Tomas?
This is a Thursday on the Fly slash.
This is a Friday on the Fly
Friday.
on Thursday, released on Friday edition.
Beautiful. We thought about talking about baseball playoffs, but it would be really confusing because it's not released on the same
Especially because I don't keep up on baseball at all.
Yeah, I know.
Other than the fun things that happen, like 19 innings and such.
Yeah, the Cardinals winning is depressing anyway. So, anyway, we don't have to talk about that.
That is true. But what we do have to talk about is the 4-H week, Tomas. You are the resident expert on all things 4-H because you served in the 4-H world for so long.
Sure.
Tell me about it. What's going on this week?
Super excited. National 4-H Week. It's put on every year. This year it's October 6th through the 12th, so we're coming up on the end of it. But the goal for National 4-H Week is really to raise awareness about what 4-H is and does, and then it also has a pretty big challenge piece and challenge youth to do. I believe is the showcase for this year. And it's really about getting youth involved in the many different things that 4-H is involved with, not just the livestock sector. So there's different robotics challenges this Friday, which today's not Friday. It's confusing. Tomorrow,
yes,
they're having a cook-off challenge at the state fairgrounds here in Indiana.
On Friday, though.
On Friday.
Okay, so the day you hear this is when it's happening, right?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
so
to make sure not to confuse people.
Yeah. If you can't tell, we're confused.
Confusing ourselves
This morning. But
what is it? A what competition?
It's like a food cooking type challenge. So
that's my kind of competition.
They put that out to all the counties, and you had the ability to register for that and go take part. So challenging youth to get involved, be creative, but really the goal is raise awareness for the program. Registration for the 2020 4-H season, if you want to call it that, the 4-H year has already started in Indiana.
Okay.
And we'll be starting in Ohio. So it's just a reminder to get everybody, let's go ahead and enroll again so we can start taking part in those activities, those clubs,
right,
and get ready for next year. I think a big misconception of 4-H is that it just takes, place 1 week in June or July. But
or a couple weeks at the state fair.
It's a year-long program.
Yeah.
I mean, it ends with the state fair, pretty much. That's kind of the
climactic point, right?
Yeah, kind of the ending point. And then, actually, some counties have fall fairs, so it's even more confusing there. But
that is. If they're in school, that has to be difficult.
Yeah, it provides some challenges. So, September is kind of the year-end wrap-up. They submit all their reports and everything, and then October. Let's kick it off and
get ready for the next year.
Yep.
It's like baseball season. You're done and then you start again, basically.
Pretty much 162 games. It's a lot of fun.
On. Well, good deal. Yeah, I think the big point there, and if you wanted to, I learned what I'm about to say from episode 15, titled All Things 4-H. We had Abby Morgan and Katie Sweet in to talk about 4-H, and the main thing I learned was just that point that Tomas just made, that it's not what we typically think of as your traditional 4-H these days, where it's all about livestock, all about bringing in your hog, your calf, your chicken, whatever. Like you said, there's robotics competitions, there's cooking competitions, there's a lot that goes into 4-H these days, and a lot for kids to get involved in. So,
and the challenge this year is inspire kids to do. I had that wrong earlier. So that inspire piece, right?
Inspire. Well, there you have it. Moving on to 2025, Tomas. Somebody's wanting to do something by 2025, and they sound in the vein of JFK.
Yeah. So, article from AgWeb, the technology section, Chris Bennett. We've got a group that started an organization called Grand Farm, and it's in North Dakota. And their purpose, when they started having these discussions in 2017, was to have an completely autonomous farming operation by the year 2025. And the article talks a little bit how they tried to kind of match that up with JFK's challenge to the
moon.
Yeah,
Get into the space race.
They
right?
said the United States is going to get to the moon in a decade. This is going to be that decade challenge, and so they kind of did that to themselves here. And it says down in the article they're going to start focusing on wheat and soybeans. They were able to get 40 acres donated. They're building a facility starting this year. That's kind of what this article was talking about. They're breaking ground on that, and they want to have 12 ag tech companies in their facility, really at all times, kind of changing in and out, but giving them a space to do research, to actually trial things in the field. And
give a little quote here along those lines.
Go ahead.
Just in the opening, it says, far beyond full autonomy, the Grand Farm aims to be a laboratory for entrepreneurs and ag tech companies, a development and testing ground for the future of every facet of farm technology. Located on 40 acres south of Fargo, North Dakota, the project will begin facility construction and technology testing in 2020. So what I'm confused about is, what do they mean by fully autonomous? Do they mean they can just leave this whole facility on its own one day? Is that their goal? Or is it like, we want all of the operations, as in like the planting and the harvesting, like just simple operations, to be fully autonomous? Or do they want to be able to leave this thing and not ever even have to? When I think fully autonomous, I think like robots serving robots at that point. That makes sense what I'm trying to
It
say,
does.
but-
I don't know how
But my
that
guess
would
is-
even work, but they're changing things.
Hey,
all
they're
the time
using the
and
word
doing
fully.
research. Yeah. Yeah.
But let
My-
me give a...
My
yeah, go
guess
ahead.
is somebody behind a screen making all the pieces work, but
All right.
it talks later in the article about the demand for ag labor so high, and we don't have enough individuals wanting to come into this labor force. So they're trying to develop technology that gives farmers another option, so they don't have to go find actual human labor.
Yeah.
They can have that autonomy with the mechanical labor.
Yeah, which is interesting, because even last time I think we talked about the factor that, as I think it was like with social media or something we were talking about, but as far as we go into technology, it's interesting to me how we still have to have human beings, right? So even that word, that's why I asked what I asked, like fully autonomous. If somebody hears the word fully, they think, oh, this whole like facility is run by robots. At least that's what I think, because that's where so many people are saying we're going, is to complete AI, right? And then people are freaking out that we're going to be taken over and destroyed as a race and all
Right.
that stuff. But anyway, so it's just interesting that they're still going to have human labor to monitor these, to do repairs and all that kind of stuff. Although the planting, the harvesting, maybe if they have cattle on the facility, like we talked about last week, robots milking the cows and stuff like that, they still have to have that human component. So that's interesting. Anything else on that, Tomas?
The last quote from the article, it says,
Yeah.
This is a road to developing solutions for agriculture's future, and we'll get to an autonomous farm along the way. So it's that goal of autonomy, but really they're breaking it down to, we want to develop solutions for agriculture.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's I was going to say that it's, if I can remember what I was going to say. I can't remember what I was going to say, Tomas.
that's all right. Happens to the best of us.
There was
It's
something
'cause
along
you're-
those lines, though.
You're so excited to talk about Holly the bear.
That is certainly true, but there's something that I thought was important to mention about it. Anyway, I'll think about it later. You brought up, and I can't deny it now, the most important article we've done in some time. This is
It's just
Tomas, this is as important as the 300 pizzas per hour.
It
okay?
is. I don't know if I go that far.
And actually, this bear may have gotten that way by being in a place that creates pizza. 300 pizzas per hour.
yeah. You all have heard of Shark Week. Well,
Right.
if you did not know,
The way more important week that we all have not heard of is Fat Bear Week.
Fat Bear Week.
This is fantastic.
Quote, Fat Bear Week.
Yes, and
Hashtag put
good.
that all
The
over social
name is
media.
a normal name by the person who wrote the article. I I edited that out of the other episode. Sometimes, folks, we get challenged by names, and sometimes those challenges,
Not every week. They understand that.
yeah, they can cause a crippling effect in this little studio. Josephine Harvey, though, and on Yahoo News,
Yeah.
HuffPost, all sorts of good news outlets here. Fat Bear Week 2019 champion, 435 Holly. It's official, I'm quoting. Fat Bear Week has chosen its glorious queen for 2019. After a thrilling week of tough rivalry, 435 Holly claimed the crown for the annual competition organized by the Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska. I'm just going to keep reading here. The competition, which is now in its 5th year, allows voters on Facebook to celebrate the biggest bear from Alaska's Brooks River by liking their favorite fatty each day for a week. She had a great time writing this article.
my
I mean, imagine this
gosh.
comes up. It's like you have to do
Jeez.
politics and all this other stuff that you have to write about, and then all of a sudden they throw you a bone. They say, "Why don't you write on the Fat Bear Week?"
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Yes. Why don't I?" In fact,
The interesting thing in
go
the
for it.
article is, being obese for a bear is actually a good thing, right? It shows
Going
good
into
health,
hibernation.
yeah, all that type of stuff. So it just,
does it give the weight? Where's the weight?
I,
Because then
I
there's
don't-
775 lefty,
right.
and
It can't
be the biggest bear at
actual,
435.
The actual weight, because there's a 128 gazer, and that
yeah, that doesn't make any
grazer.
sense.
Whatever.
Why don't they give the weight? It's because they're just observing this thing from afar. That's why nobody's gotten close enough to.
They don't, bro. Get those guys on the scale.
Hey, 435, Holly, would you mind stepping on the scale, please? Just mauls your face off.
They've got a bracket down here. I mean, this is getting intense. There's probably money bet on these different things.
That's great.
Wow.
Wow,
The
look at
the
that.
last quote from the article, it says, "She is fat," the park said, "and she is fabulous. All hail
Yes.
Holly, whose healthy heft will help her hibernate until spring. Long live the queen of
Excellent.
corpulence."
She is.
It's
She is
unreal.
hefty, and she is.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to run
No,
into her there on a hunting trip or
Not at
anything
all.
like that.
my mom has an interesting story about that when she went up to Canada with my dad and brother and Amy on their bear hunt. They went out. They had no weapons. Amy and my mom,
smart.
and then their guide. They were just going out to like check out things out in the woods and stuff.
Yeah, where
Um,
the bears are.
Yeah, right where the bears are. And they came up on these cubs. And if you know anything about being out in the wild and seeing bear cubs, you turn the other way immediately and you get out of there. You don't stand around and say, "Oh, look at the cute little cubbies," because guess who cares about those cubs enough to split you in half? 435 Holly. That's who.
Exactly.
435 Holly comes out romping around. She mauls your face off.
Yeah.
So they had a
775 lefty. He's out
they-
there too.
They found some cubs, and then there was this mama who knew they were around, and they heard this growling. I guess mama wasn't happy. They didn't see her, I don't think, but the guide, he was like, "We've got to go." So they're booking it back to the truck, and they could tell the story far better than I can. But they have a run-in with a bear, a little story they can tell. So they survived. No mauling happened,
Yeah.
thankfully.
Yeah.
But they learn really quickly that as cute and cuddly as those cubs can be, there's a 435 Holly behind each one of them.
Your lives are all better now that you know about Fat Bear Week, and we need to
Yes.
get it as celebrated as Shark Week.
It's
way
far more
better.
important
Yes,
than
I would
Shark
agree.
Week. Sharks
I
are
would
not
agree.
cute. They're not cuddly. They will maul you regardless. And it's in water. I mean, who wants to be underwater to have to see something cute and cuddly and all that when you can be
Lot of-
above water looking at 435 Holly
A lot of
out in the woods by a river maybe.
eating a fish. There's some eating fish
Yeah.
pictures on here. So, anyways, check out
This has gone too far, Tomas.
check out the article, and this bracket that they have is really intense, and talks about the votes and different things. And
Yeah.
I would really,
How many people voted? Did we get a
would
did
really
we get a
like
count on
some
that?
more information
I wanna see
about
how many
how they gave him the numbers. Like, what does the number mean
Yeah.
next to there? It can't be. It
Maybe
can't
it's
be
the
estimated
region or
weight.
something.
Has to be.
Would so did you read the quote that there is no shame in winning this contest as large amounts of body fat in brown bears is
Yeah.
indicative of good health? You mentioned it.
Yeah,
but,
mentioned
and
it. I
strong
didn't read the
chances of
quote.
survival.
It's man, it's fun. We want to bring more fun to this, and I think we're going to try to find
Yeah.
something just outrageous.
There's always
like
an
this every day.
earthquake, there's always a storm, there's always
Yeah.
rain, there's always something that somebody's down about. So we
We were
gonna
gonna do,
today
like
keep
a
an answer
Yahoo
like this.
roulette type thing. Like go to Yahoo
Yeah.
and Matt says a number, and we just talked about that article with that.
that
that's
could
not-
get really
yeah,
dangerous
That's really,
quickly.
We don't want to talk about politics or anything like that. That'd be.
I mean, I'll talk about it, but people don't want to hear me talk about it.
I'd rather talk about fat bears and,
Yeah,
and
I'd
robot
much-
pizza
I
makers
agree.
than that.
Yes. So 435 Holly taking advantage of the 300 pizzas per hour. Just kidding. But she is fat. Check her glorious hideout on Yahoo. I'll link the article in the description, and you can check it out. Little preview for next week's regular Plow Talk episode, since we have a little bit of time here. Why would we want to cut things short, Tomas?
That doesn't sound like us at all.
So next week, look forward to hearing from Phil Bain. And actually, Tomas joined us in the studio. Jason Bain is out at a moose hunt in Canada, and so he obviously could not join us. But we talked about really a number of things, and originally going into it, we wanted to talk about strategy, going forward into the future, strategic planning as a business leader, stuff like that. And we got into some of that, but we especially got really a overarching view with some details added in, of the progress of then Bain Equipment Sales up to the merger to North Central AgriPower and the Welker side of things, and got a little bit into that as well. So my dad, Phil, gave us all sorts of little anecdotes and perspectives on what he was thinking through in certain moments when Bain Equipment Sales at the time would add a location, when they would take another location under their wing and stuff like that, and how things have progressed. And so it kind of goes in line with that, the other two episodes we've done of key influencers and Jason and my dad's lives, and then the episode before that, episode 11, on business principles and practices of their daily lives. So we wanted to kind of do another one in that vein, and we actually have a prospect for doing another one like that in the future once Jason gets back, talking about some other things, how they've developed through the years. So do check that out. Let us know if you like it, and let us know what you'd like to hear from, or about, I should say, next week. We're always opening the door to receive articles, whatever you'd like us to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Everybody stay safe out there. Harvest is in full swing, so.
Yes, sir. Any last notes, Tomas? Anything this weekend happening?
No, I got a family reunion, so.
Excellent.
Katie's family. So
I was about to ask, Wilson side?
Yeah,
or?
no, we're
Okay.
going down to do Vigo County. Super excited. Covered Bridge Festival's going on.
Excellent.
So a lot of
fun
maybe
stuff.
it's going on. I'm sure it's probably starting. So.
Yeah. Feast of the Hunter's Moon was great.
Last weekend, yeah.
Excellent
good.
weather.
Good.
All right. Well, let's cut it off, and we'll talk to you all next week. Have a great weekend, and do well, my friends.